Monster Mom number 4. My mother-in-law expected me to cook Thanksgiving dinner after a 12-hour shift. A couple of weeks ago, my husband told me that his parents wanted to come stay with us for Thanksgiving. They live pretty far away, so before saying yes, he wanted to make sure I was okay with it first. I was, so they booked their flights. Then yesterday, my mother-in-law called and asked if it would be a problem for me to cook Thanksgiving dinner for 4 people instead of 2. I told her I wasn't going to be cooking at all because I'd be working a 12-hour shift from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Thanksgiving Day. I suggested we either order takeout or go out to eat together. She immediately got upset. According to her, you don't go to restaurants on a family holiday. Here's the ironic part. The moment their oldest son moved out, they completely stopped celebrating holidays. No birthdays, no birthday gifts, no Christmas presents, nothing. By the time my husband, her younger son, was 14 years old, his family had stopped celebrating holidays altogether. So hearing her suddenly lecture me about the importance of a family tradition was honestly laughable. I calmly repeated that I wasn't going to cook, and we ended the call. But today, my mother-in-law and father-in-law called together to discuss Thanksgiving again. My mother-in-law insisted that I should make the holiday dinner my top priority. She had the entire day planned out for me. Wake up even earlier, prep some of the dishes before work, mix the dough for the dinner rolls so it could rise while I was gone. Throw whatever I could into the slow cooker before leaving, then come home after a 12-hour shift and finish cooking everything else. According to her, we'd be able to eat by 7:30 p.m. I finally asked, "So, what exactly will you, my father-in-law, and my husband, who has the day off, be doing all day?" Without missing a beat, she replied, "Well, I can keep an eye on the food and make sure nothing burns while you're gone." Apparently, my husband could hear me doing everything I could not to lose my temper. He quickly took the phone from me, then he handled it perfectly. Instead of arguing with his mom or making me the bad guy, he said, "Mom, I really miss your cooking. I'd love for you to teach me how to make some of your Thanksgiving dishes." She was absolutely thrilled. Within minutes, they had completely changed the plan. Now they're going to cook the entire Thanksgiving dinner together during their visit so she can teach him all of her recipes. As I'm telling this story, he's already at the grocery store buying everything on her shopping list. He's always been incredibly good at standing up to his parents and having my back. But what I appreciate most is how he did it. Instead of arguing with them or making it sound like I was refusing to help, he shifted all the attention onto himself. He solved the problem without turning me into the villain. For context, I'm the primary breadwinner in our household. I work more hours, I earn more money. My husband works fewer hours and makes less than I do. Yet somehow, his parents still believe it's my responsibility to cook and clean for him, simply because I'm the wife. At this point, I'm honestly not sure how I'm going to survive the next 5 days with them in my house. My mother-in-law refused to help after I got seriously injured while pregnant. I was seriously injured, and my mother-in-law refused to help me. She wouldn't even bring me my crutches. Instead, she kept insisting, "I'm telling you, your leg isn't broken." My mother-in-law has been staying with us this week. I'm currently 30 weeks pregnant. My husband had to go into the office today, so it was just the 2 of us at home. Unfortunately, that morning, I missed a step on the stairs and fell. The moment I hit the ground, I knew something was terribly wrong. I was almost certain I'd broken my leg. I screamed in pain, and my mother-in-law came running to see what had happened. I asked her to bring me a chair and told her exactly where my crutches were because I knew there was no way I could put any weight on my leg. She brought the chair. But instead of getting the crutches, she started arguing with me. "Pregnant women aren't supposed to use crutches," she said. I told her I couldn't walk, but she kept insisting. "Just lean on me." She helped me hobble to the car without the crutches because she refused to stop repeating that pregnant women shouldn't use them. Every single step was absolute agony. She drove me to the hospital. When we arrived, I tried to take a few steps toward the entrance. The pain was so intense that I threw up right there on the spot. She just stood there, watching me, completely useless. I finally snapped and yelled at her to get me a wheelchair. Instead, she loudly insisted that I couldn't possibly have broken my leg because I'd managed to make it to the car. Thankfully, my baby is completely fine. Unfortunately, I wasn't. I fractured my ankle and severely sprained the ligaments in my knee. My leg is now locked in both an ankle boot and a knee brace. I still need an MRI to determine how badly my knee was damaged. I'm desperately hoping I didn't completely tear the ligaments. And then, my mother-in-law immediately said, "See? I told you your leg wasn't broken. You didn't need those crutches after all." Right. Because a fractured ankle and a badly injured knee are obviously so much better than a broken leg. It looks like I'll be using crutches, or possibly a wheelchair, for at least the next 6 to 8 weeks. I understand that some people panic during emergencies. But for the love of God, if I tell you I've broken my leg, just hand me the crutches. Don't argue with me. And if someone is literally throwing up from the pain, that should be a pretty obvious sign that they need a wheelchair. Instead, she tried to avoid taking any responsibility by loudly telling everyone, "I told you her leg wasn't broken." As if I had just been overreacting. And honestly, this is only one incident in a very long history of situations like this. Sometimes she drives me absolutely insane. Update number 1. Thank you all so much for the support. The pain is unbearable. I'm going to try to get some rest and respond to comments later. My husband seems to be taking this much more calmly than I am. I think my mother-in-law gave him a very different version of what happened. She called him while I was getting x-rays, and now he keeps telling me that the most important thing is for me to stay calm because too much stress isn't good for the baby. Update number 2. I'm having contractions. We're on our way back to the hospital. Thank you all for your kind comments. I probably won't be able to reply for a while. My mom just admitted she deliberately destroyed my relationship with my boyfriend. My ex-boyfriend and I had been together for a little over 3 years. We broke up because our parents, my mom and his dad, announced that they were getting married. A lot of unbelievable things happened, but I'll try to keep this as short as possible. For months, they kept calling us brother and sister. They introduced us to people as their children. They constantly joked that we were siblings, even though we're not related in any way. Once they got engaged, the jokes only got worse. They acted like we were one big happy family, a married couple and their kids. My mom even told me that I should start thinking of my boyfriend and his sister as my own brother and sister. Shortly before we broke up, my period was late, and I was terrified that I might be pregnant. Thankfully, I wasn't. When I told my mom, she said, "Good thing you're not pregnant. How would you explain to your kids that you have the same parents?" Then came their engagement party. My boyfriend didn't attend, but I did. During her speech, my mom said, "I'm so grateful to our children for helping us create this wonderful little family, as long as we ignore the incest." The entire room burst into laughter. For the rest of the night, people kept making jokes at my expense. Within a week, my boyfriend and I broke up, not because we had stopped loving each other, but because our entire extended family, and even family friends, wouldn't stop making those jokes. Their wedding was scheduled for Valentine's Day. After the breakup, my ex and I didn't speak for months. Then, a few days before the wedding, he texted me. He asked what I planned to do. We agreed that we'd either both attend the wedding or neither of us would go. We went back and forth for a while, but eventually decided to go. Skipping the wedding altogether would have created even more drama. On top of that, both of us had been asked to be part of the wedding procession. Everything was normal, until the DJ announced that our parents wanted to dedicate a song to their children. Then he played "Sweet Home Alabama." The entire room erupted with laughter. That was it. We walked out. My mom chased after us, insisting it was just a joke and begging us to come back. We refused. Instead, we stood outside waiting for the bus. While we were waiting, we started talking. One conversation led to another, and we realized something. We'd only been apart for a few months. Neither of us had moved on. Neither of us had dated anyone else. His belongings were still at my apartment, so we decided to pick up right where we left off. We agreed that it was ridiculous to let other people destroy a relationship that made us happy. We also decided to drastically limit contact with our parents, not completely cut them off, but keep them at arm's length. We even scheduled our first session with a family therapist. It's this Sunday, then today. My mom asked if we could meet for coffee. I thought it would be the perfect opportunity to tell her that my boyfriend and I were back together, explain our boundaries, and begin the very limited relationship we'd agreed on. I rushed there through the rain. In the hurry, I completely forgot to cover the hickey my boyfriend had left on my neck the night before. The moment she saw it, she asked where it came from. I was just about to make up an excuse when she suddenly blurted out, "That's from your brother, isn't it?" Something inside me snapped. He's not my brother. At that moment, she knew. She immediately accused me of trying to ruin her marriage, even though she'd been married for less than a week. That hit a nerve. So I told her the truth. I said she'd destroyed my 3-year relationship to protect a relationship she'd only been in for less than a year and a half. I told her we were finally starting to rebuild everything they had torn apart. She looked at me and replied, "Apparently we didn't do a good enough job if you're rebuilding it." I stared at her. Then I asked the question I'd been afraid to ask. "Did you two deliberately try to break us up?" She admitted it. She said that she and my new stepfather had originally started dating with the specific goal of ending our relationship. Why? Because one day, we'd casually mentioned that we were thinking about buying a house about an hour away so we could have a yard for the children we hoped to have someday. They didn't want to drive 2 hours round trip to visit us. Later, after they realized they had genuinely fallen in love and wanted to get married, they became even more determined to split us up. According to her, it was better for us to go through a breakup than for their friends and relatives to think they were weird because their children were dating. So this whole nightmare started because they didn't want us moving an hour away, and now they're trying to protect their own image by making sure everyone sees us as the problem instead of them. My mom left about an hour ago. My boyfriend is still at work, and his phone is off. He has no idea any of this happened. I'm still sitting here in this coffee shop, completely stunned, typing this out because I don't even know what to think anymore. Obviously, I need to tell him everything as soon as he's off work. But after learning the truth, how are we supposed to have any kind of relationship with our parents? And where do we even begin trying to process something like this? Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next episode. If you have any thoughts about what happened, let us know in the comments below. We'd love to hear what you think. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next story.